Our first speaker, session lead, is Nicolas. Nicolas is a cloud solution architect from Microsoft. Nicolas is a strategic information security leader able to transform business requirements into security solutions. And he has worked for recognized consulting companies, international retail and manufacturing organizations, and the higher education sector. And before joining Microsoft, Nicolas was actually the Chief Information Security Officer at the University of Ottawa. And the presentation Nicolas will do is about approach for a safe architecture.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So Nicolas Buache, Cloud Solution Architect for Microsoft. Just a quick background, just kind of to break the glass. So I'm a lot of experience in IT security. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years. Half of my time in the consulting side, half of the time on the customer side. So I have kind of visibility on both sides. You will see today, so I'm a French native speaker. So excuse if, my English, like you will feel the French accent in my English. Coming from Europe, so I moved to Canada in 2017, in Ottawa, exactly. So very, very nice region. I love being here. And what I like very much is traveling, doing a lot of exercise pretty much every day, and share my knowledge with everyone. So today we are going to talk about the approach to a safe security architecture. It's going to be high level. It's not going to be very deep technical, because I want everyone to be able to understand what we are going to talk about. Don't hesitate if you have any questions. And if I'm going too fast sometimes, it's because I'm very excited about cybersecurity. So don't hesitate to stop me if I'm going too fast. So first of all, why do we care about security? Why do we care about a safe architecture in IT? And that's a question I always ask, because I still remember, like when I joined the University of Ottawa, I asked everyone, like, is security important? And everybody was like, yes, it's important. And my next question is, why is it important? Most of the time, people just told me it's because the management tells us it's important. So we need to be sure that we understand why we do security. If we don't understand, we will never have a good practice even from the beginning. So the number you see here are a little bit old, like they are from last year, or some of them are from 2021. But the idea here is to say, okay, everyone is moving or already moved with the pandemic to a hybrid workspace. So you don't anymore have everything on-prem. You don't have all your devices behind the firewall. So we already have data everywhere. We are using solutions from everywhere, not only your solution, but we use SaaS solutions from everywhere. And we already need to care about the data, care about the access. Some of the issues by working remotely is even more difficult when you have an incident. First, to detect it. Like, you need to be sure that you have monitoring on your accounts, on the device that are not necessarily on site, and you see what's happening. So you need to be sure that you're able to detect, and you're able to take actions. So apparently it takes 58 days longer in average for responding to a breach in a company. It should not be a surprise, but the number of attacks are increasing every day or every year. We see a lot more of attacks, and something very common is always the phishing. Always the phishing, and I will probably come back to that later, because for me, you always have two points which are very easy to attack. That's always attacking on the end user or attacking on the device, because we know that users still share their password very easy or can be phished. Computers are not always patched. So that's too easy access when you want to gain access to an organization. what we need to play with today is really about the dynamic of the business. Like the business needs are evolving every day. Like we want to be more flexible. We want to be more connected. We want to be able to work from everywhere. We want to provide solutions to our customers. So the business needs are always evolving very fast. We need to adapt to that. We need to adapt the architecture. And with the fact that we work from everywhere, we have also a lot of devices connected to a network. If you take a standard company, you may have system for the cooling or for heating or for the alarm system connected to your network. So you have a lot of devices that you don't necessarily manage, etc., which makes your infrastructure complex. And when we talk about multi-cloud, you may have the Microsoft, the AWS, the GCP, or even other SaaS apps, sometimes small vendors that you need to be sure you consider and you have good practice over there. And for sure, as we learn about how to protect, how to increase our security, attackers learn, or even they are often faster than us to learn about, okay, what's going to be my next move to attack an organization. So it's very complex. You need to always update your skills, or update your protections, and provide a safe environment. And when I say a safe environment, it's really like you probably heard with the first one, dynamic business environment, is because we don't only deliver an IT service, like we need to support the business. We need to help the business. So to help the business, we need to understand first what are their needs, how do they work, where do they store the data, etc., and really deliver a solution that that is aligned to the business needs. So at the end of the day, that's really a partnership that you want to have. And yeah, I will come back probably a few times to my previous experience, and the last one before Microsoft was at the university. So at the very beginning, when I was talking to the different teachers, the researchers, etc., I was like, yeah, okay, I want to collaborate with you, but no, I don't necessarily want to collaborate. We need to be partners. Like we need to be sure that you can work properly, that IT or IT security delivers you value and help you to work in a safe environment and don't stop within your activity. So I think a key message is really we as an IT security architects, we want to help and partner with the business to deliver solutions. And that's very important because when you are going to do some security architecture, we want to have a balanced approach to the security. Like the biggest mistake that you can do is just to deny everything, block everything on your network, block any access to website. When you have a new application that is coming, just say, no, I don't want it. Because you know, if you are going to block everything, people are going to buy their own solutions and don't ask you. Like they are going to go to Best Buy, by their own access point, their own computers or whatever, connect them to your network, or by their own SaaS solutions. And maybe you don't want them to use a kind of a professional solution that you can control to share documents. And they are going just to subscribe to a free solution that is not secure at all, where you have no visibility. So I think the worst case is really to say always no to the business. Instead of saying no, say, okay, I'm going to, I need to understand your needs. Like, I can do an assessment of the solution. I can tell you why you should not use the applications. Or sometimes it's say no, or maybe there is a different way, or maybe just a question about, okay, should I review the contract I have with the service provider? But for that, you have to sit, you have to visit the business. Could be in a classroom, could be in a lab, could be in a manufacturer, in a store. Just going to meet the business, understand their needs, how they are working, etc., and find a solution together as a partner. It's how you will be able to have a balanced security. Like you will not say yes to everything. You will say yes, but I need a specific security control in place. On the other side, if you allow everything, so that's the door open to any attacker. So I don't think you want to be on that side too. When we talk about safe architecture, we know that we have no solution that is 100% secure. So, and we need to think about everything. Like we need to have a balanced approach to security, but also we need to be sure, like we have different pillars. Like we need to take care about the identity, about how we manage our devices, how we protect the data, how we manage the network, etc. It's not because you are very, very good on one domain and you forget about the others. We are going to go around and we are going to get access to your data. We are going to get access to your network. So the attacker is always going to choose the easy path. And if you remember a few minutes ago, I just talked about two easy point to access. It's always the end user and the computers, the devices which are not managed or not patched are two easy points. Getting access to your firewall, to your network, etc. Yes, if you have the tools, the skill sets, etc., it's probably possible, but it's going to be more effort to go through that. And because not everything is 100% secure, what do you want to do? You want to be sure that when you think about an architecture, you have different security control at different locations, and what you want. So even if I can pass the first control, maybe I'm going to get to the second one, to the third one, etc. Until the end where you will be like, okay, I'm tired. As an attacker, I'm tired. There is too many controls in place. I will not put more energy in my security. And that's really right. You want to try to search or to look for when you are doing some security architecture. On our side, could be on the consulting or on the customer side, we have some data, some system that we want to protect. And when I say data, that first of all, we need to protect our own data, the data for our employees, then the data for our customers. And maybe we have some data that are very intellectual property that we want to protect too. So we need to protect our system. And now we need to know, okay, who what do we need to protect for? Do we want to be protected for anybody, for someone in the garage who has just one computer and try to attack us? Do we want to protect ourselves for a bigger organization, or are we really a target of nation state? So if you take the education higher ed, when we have a lot of research, sometimes there are maybe some research that may be of interest for a nation state. So in that case, yeah, the level of security that we want to have there is really high. But for most of the organization, like who is going to target us? Is it a government who is going to attack us? Doesn't mean that you need to have a low security, but at least you need to know a little bit about, okay, who could be attacking us? Which level of protection do I want? Do I need? And what do I need to protect for? Uh, Interesting discussion I had with someone a few years ago. At the beginning, I was very like, for me, the working in retail manufacture, I really had to protect the data, protect the customer data, protect the employee data, protect some sensitive information about the organization. But talking with someone else, like he was really working in the different industry, where for him, he didn't really have a lot of sensitive data to protect. For him, the worst was if the production, the manufacturer couldn't work because the system were down. So this is where you need to review a little bit about, okay, how do I architect? What are my priorities when I'm designing my architecture? So again, coming to how is the business working? I need to understand the business. I need to work with the business to define my security architecture. And I need to have at least the right level of security with my solutions. How can I do it? Because it's great to say, okay, we need to have a security architecture. We need to have some levels, but can we have some tips to do it? So first of all, as an architect, you will be there to understand, again, the business needs, but also some technical needs, some constraints, because sometimes you want to do something, but you may not have all the budget that you want, or there are other complexity or integration within the organization that you need to take into consideration. So you need to think about the needs, but also what are the constraints that you have. And then you need to have visibility not only about planning, but you need to see, okay, how is it going? Because what's working on paper, sometimes it's working in real life, but sometimes you need to adapt a little bit or learn. And if you remember, we talked before about everything is evolving. Like the business needs are evolving, the security are evolving, the solutions are evolving. So maybe during the time you need to review a little bit your architecture. So you will have different people working with you on the planning, on the architecture. Be sure that we have all the security controls. Sometimes, depending on the data that you manage, maybe you will work with people from legal or people from HR, like different department to define your architecture. You will have some people like some engineers coming, building what you have designed. Again, what they are going to build, maybe you will have some issues that you need to address, to review a little bit. And the most important is about running the solution. Like we want to be sure that you have a safe solution, but also you are able to detect and react when there is an incident. Because today, it's not about am I going to be attacked? It's really about when is it going to happen. So you need to have these feedbacks. And this is why right now it's not just go and leave. It's really on a day-to-day, just review, reassess what you have. When I say a day-to-day, like it's mainly like for each session, maybe you will have a different frequency, but you can't implement a solution and say, okay, it's going to run for 10 years, and I don't have to care about it anymore. So constantly you need to see, okay, are my business needs evolving? Are the threats evolving? What's happening? What do you see on the SOC side with the alerts? Do you have new solution to improve my security or to improve the business capabilities? Because as IT architect, we don't always think about how can I improve the business experience. Like easy example, when we deploy MFA, I can prompt for MFA every time you log in. It's going to be annoying for the end user, and the end user, if they can find another solution, they will go about that, or they will just blame security every time. If you can make their life a little bit easier and say, okay, I'm going to prompt for MFA when I need, if it's coming from a different location, if it's coming from an untrusted device, or maybe you have some criteria, that specific criteria, when you want to provide to prompt for MFA, that's very important to say, okay, I'm going to secure my environment, but try to improve at the same time the end user experience. We talk a lot about the zero trust, etc. But I think what I want to highlight here is really what I was mentioning before. Let me just find my mouse. So what I mentioned before is what's very easy to attack is the identities, the end user. We are going to do some phishing, and the endpoint. That's really two easy entry points for an attacker. Then you need to protect the applications, the data, infrastructure, network, etc. So you want to apply zero trust everywhere, but the weakest points are very frequently in all organization identity and endpoint. As you see, everything is connected. In this example, so what we want to, we may have some attacks coming from outside or from inside, but phishing is very common. And when you are a user receive an email, just click on a URL, etc. It could execute something, or what a lot of attackers want is to be able to access something. So at the end, maybe you want to access the mailbox to phish someone else, to have access to a device, and then go somewhere else and compromise the identities, not only one or two user identities, but maybe I want to compromise the identity of the admin, and I want to have access either to some system you may have on-prem or to sensitive SaaS apps. Like if I can get access to your CRM where you have all your customer data or other systems, I will be happy to. So what you don't want to forget when you do your architecture is, yeah, I'm looking at one solution, but I should not only focus to that solution. Like this solution is going to talk with other systems on the network. So how can I make sure that I protect the whole chain end to end? We talk about external threats, but we have also insider risks. And insider risks sometimes, or at the very beginning of my career, I was always thinking about, okay, insider risk, what is it? It's maybe someone who is going to leave the organization, who wants to take data or to sell data. But at the end of the day, I understood, okay, sometimes it's not always because I want explicitly to sell data or to harm my organization. Sometimes it's maybe just because I'm not careful, because I don't see the risk by sharing some information, or I send just an email to the wrong person with a similar name. I send the information outside instead of sending to one of my colleagues. So insider risk is very common. So when you think about a new solution that you will have, could be a SaaS app, could be something on-prem, etc., you already need to think about the whole picture. How is it going to be connected? What are the actions that my user are going to do? And especially like the CRM, I like the CRM use case because in a CRM, very frequently what we do, we want to have control of the data, what people can do, people can modify, which level of details or level of access they have, what they can do, etc. But we forget about, okay, we are going to provide the ability to some users to export some data on the Excel sheet, on the CSV, and then you lose control. Like the data is out and you lose control. So that's kind of all the details that you want to think about when you architect a solution. Talking about some tools, because it's always easy to say you need to do this, that, but where should I start? Where we still have some organizations which don't have the foundation. So it's great to say, okay, I want to be the best one in security. I want to automate everything. I want to work with AI. I want to be very good. But again, you need to think about the foundation. And when I'm talking about foundations, there is nothing new here. Again, talking about computer patching, talking about end user identity, etc. Do you have all my base security controls? Then I move to the next level, talk about the zero trust approach. So how can I think a little bit about zero trust, be more mature, and also, okay, I have people coming from everywhere, from any device, accessing some data, and at the end of the day, if I'm talking about zero trust, if people are coming with a personal device or managed device on my network, if I don't trust anything, anybody, it will, like my designs should still be secure. So start with the foundation, move to zero trust, and when you are a little bit more mature, you will be able to think about AI, how it's going to help you think about DevSecOps. So DevSecOps, it's really what I was talking about before, like you are always developing new features, new capabilities, onboarding security, etc. And it's really a security journey that never ends. To do that, we have some, so you will find the RAMP model, the Rapid Modernization Plan. It's a model that you will find on the Microsoft website. I'm going to share the link at the end. But that's something that is very agnostic. Like that's for us, that's the priority, how you should address that. I talk about securing the identities, securing the access. That's the first thing you want to work on. I want to protect the data. To protect the data, I need to know first, what are the sensitive data? Like I don't care about protecting everything. Do I want to protect if people are storing pictures from their last vacation on the network? Could be great to protect them, but what's the cost? So what are the sensitive data I need to secure? And how is the business using the data? Like some data are very sensitive. You may not want to have the data leaving the organization, but in some use case, maybe there is one specific department who needs to send sensitive data to the customer. Could be the sales, could be the HR, could be on finance or whatever. You always have some specific use case when some data are going to leave the organization. So understand the data that you have, which are sensitive, and how they are used by the business. Then you are going to think about modern SecOps. So how am I going to have more visibility and react very quickly? When I say react very quickly, I don't necessarily want always to have people behind the screen, but think about automation. How can I automate and secure my application? Then I'm going to think about the infra, the developments, the IoT, the device I connect on my network. But if you don't know where to start with, it's a good way to think about my priorities. Here on the right corner, you have the link where you can find the ramp model. I will share it also at the end of the presentation. Another one that you can use, and again, that's you can apply it with any technology. That's a cloud adoption framework that we have, and that's an easy way to think about the cloud, or how can I secure the cloud. And when I'm saying cloud, it's multi-cloud, because I don't think there is a single organization which has only one cloud solution right now. Everybody has different cloud solution, either for the infrastructure, but also for SaaS applications. Linked to what I was mentioning before, we need to think about the multi-cloud. So we need to protect everything. We need to protect the people, the identity. We need to protect the endpoint, the SaaS apps that you may have, the infrastructure on-prem or in the cloud, in Azure, in GCP, AWS, your IoT devices, etc. And because I'm from Microsoft, so I need to talk a little bit about what we can offer. So for sure, we can address everything. We have different tools, so I'm not here necessarily to sell you all the tools tonight, but we have different tools that are able to address. Either we can cover everything, or we can cover part of it, because you may have other vendors who do security. Like what we don't necessarily want you to be all Microsoft, etc. We want you to be safe, to be secure. We want you to help your business to be secure in your architecture. And we are really fine working with different vendors. And everything we do, and a lot of vendors do also, is that, yeah, we always have some standards. Like when you think about an architecture, when you want to think about the controls, etc., you will have the NIST standard, the CIS, or the standard that you can apply and look at. And we will really work with the different people on that. Again, on our structured product, we have we talk about identity and endpoint. So that's going to be Entra and Intune to protect the identity and the endpoint. We talk about protecting the data. That's all we have in Purview and Priva. And we talk about the SOC. So with the defenders, with the Sentinel, we can monitor the threats. We have the SOC, etc. And I think one of the topic that everyone is talking about today is really the AI, the intelligence. So how can I be more secure? And when I say more secure, it's not only about the architecture, but when I have a breach, because I know my breach is going to happen, how can I just reply faster to the attack? How can I identify very quickly, but not only identify, block the attack as soon as possible? If you remember at the beginning, we said, I want to have multiple controls to be sure that if the attacker passed the first controls, the second control, the third one, maybe you will be annoyed and you just say, okay, that's too difficult to get access to the data. I will just go and try to attack someone else. Or maybe we'll go through, but hopefully if we go through and continue the exercise, we are going to catch him and stop him before he accesses the data at the end. That's really what we want to do. And AI, I think it's going to really help us to be faster on the detection or on the control that we have. I'm not going to talk into details on that slide, but that's typically from any vendor. You should be able to find some reference architecture that will help you to see, okay, which are the solutions that could help me protecting part of it. Like in this one, if we talk about, okay, how can I protect the information, my data? I have some solution. How do I protect the past, the IaaS, the on-prem, etc.? So all the vendors should be able to give you a reference architecture. In our case, we call it the MCRA. So if you need any help as an architect and find a little bit about, okay, what are the tools or how are the tools integrating, etc., you will have some reference. Last slide, because I see the time is running fast and I want to keep some room for questions and then the roundtable. So if I want to summarize what I try to give you tonight is really, as an architect, you want to collect and document the requirements. You need to be sure that you understand, okay, what are the business needs? What are the technical needs? What are also the other consideration I should think about, like the constraint to build my architecture. And you may need to revisit that over time. Apply the security by design. It's really about, okay, if you're an IT architect or security architect, you don't want to come after 6 months of discussions. Or if there is an RFP going on, looking for a solution on the market, like a SaaS application, you want to be in the RFP, like you want to be able to raise your voice and ask the questions, because you may have some specific security control, specific requests that have to be in the RFP. So you need really to be in the first discussions and really work with the business and say, okay, okay, you can go for that, but I want to be sure that their security controls are in place, or that you are asked that to the vendor. So really be sure that security by design is from the beginning. It's going to cost you much more if you come later in the game. Balance and uniform security, I think you got it. Like, I don't need to lock all the door if I keep one door open. I think that's something kind of common. And I don't want to always say no, because people are always going to find a workaround. So I want to find a solution with the business again, and be sure that we have something. Leverage all the principles, the framework. So I think that's the last few slides I introduced. There is a lot more of frameworks, of documents that may help you to have a safe architecture, and look for continuous improvement. Just be curious about what exists on the market, what other people are doing. If you can talk with other security architects, talk with them. Like, I don't think there is any, usually there is no issues. There is only advantage to talk with other folks. Don't share about all your weakness in your network. That's the only advice I can provide to you, but learn about what's coming on, what people are working on, etc. Be interested. And the last one is really, partnership is key. You need to be partner with the business, partner with the other IT department, with the network team, with the people managing the identities, the database, or whatever. You need to be a partner with everyone and be sure that you are engaged. And that's very important to be partner, because of the points I mentioned before, like, you want to be sure that you don't always say no, but you find solution with the partner, and you don't want them to find workaround or other solution that you don't know about. I think that's the worst. So as promised, few links about some document that can help you for the architecture.